Hello, we're Group 14. We're doing our project on BBC News, and I'm Chris Smalley. BBC stands for the British Broadcasting Corporation. It is the world's oldest national broadcasting organization, headquartered at Broadcasting House in London. Services include television, radio, news, internet, interactive television, and music. People of all ages and locations use BBC services to get a different view of world news. In 2012, BBC licensed Netflix to stream previously aired BBC programs to UK and Ireland customers. This would essentially allow those in the UK who do not pay a television tax to watch BBC series in another way.
I'm Aaron Gray, and the BBC is a government-owned broadcasting corporation built on a hierarchy system, starting with the Royal Charter up top. The Royal Charter is a constitutional basis for the BBC. It sets out the public purpose of the BBC, guarantees its independence, and outlines its duties of the Trust and Executive Board. The current charter runs until December 31st of 2016, and then they'll reinstate a new one. The current Royal Charter has a few public purposes, a couple being making better citizens, promoting education, stimulating creativity, just representing the UK as a whole. The BBC Trust is in charge of getting the best out of the BBC, setting up strategic decisions and direction, and setting the corporation's objectives, both public services and commercial arms. A brief history of the BBC. It started in 1922 as a radio broadcasting company. The first broadcast was under the name Too Low in London. And then they became very popular through the magazine called Radio Times. They started airing sporting events and arts and music and drama. And then in 1936, BBC TV started. They were forced to actually stop broadcasting in 1939 due to World War II. But after the war stopped, they began to increase popularity really fast. It started from 30 hours a week into 55 hours a week in 1955. It spread all across London, and then they had to launch BBC Two due to growing popularity and channel in space. BBC was the first network to do a lot of things, including they have the first King George V, broadcasted over the radio. They broadcasted outside for the first time. They broadcasted in a foreign language for the first time. They were the first to make a program for just women, or directed at women, rather than just men. They first broadcast weather and meteorology. They had a live coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, which was a very big deal at that time. And they were also one of the first to make a broadcast program just for kids called Muffin the Mule. And then in 1997, they made BBC Online to try to get with the times and try to keep up with growing technology. And then in September of '98, they started a collection of websites known as the BBC Online, where they showed digital TV channels.
I'm Ben Berry. As far as technology goes, the BBC offers many of its services online, including news, sports, on-demand video and radio services, and this is known as the BBC iPlayer. This interface allows users to watch many previously aired BBC programs via streaming. Other developments in technology: September 2013, BBC partnered with Hulu in a deal to introduce 2,000 new TV episodes on the platform, giving them a larger presence on the internet. And then the BBC iPlayer. It allows users to watch and download almost all previously aired BBC programs for free. It's available as an app. Interestingly, due to licensing, the iPlayer can only be used in the UK.
With 2 laps to go.
It is nice out there, he's thinking, but of course the TV's inside and this is exciting, but sunny outside, isn't it? But the live TV is inside. This is a problem as old as television itself. But because you can watch live TV on iPlayer, that means you can actually watch live TV wherever you like. Look at that. There he goes. Go on, Mo. Live TV on BBC iPlayer, making the unmissable even more unmissable. Perfect, really.
Alright, so that was an ad for the BBC iPlayer. Support and their funding. The BBC is funded by the British government and operates under its agreement with the Secretary of State for Culture, Media and Sport. And in the UK, an annual television license fee, it's like a tax. It's charged to all British households, companies, and any organization receiving broadcasts. This is where the television trust funds come from. Additionally, international broadcasts and internet services include advertisements. The BBC's internet services are normally ad-free, but international customers technically don't pay for the services, so they're subject to ads.
Okay, so for the competition, there is BBC UK and BBC America. In the BBC UK, there are 5 main channels: BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4, and Channel 5. And all of these channels are basically like your local CBS, ABCs, all your news channels that also have news as well as programming. So here are the audience shares for the top 10 channels or top 10 broadcasting companies in the UK, and the BBC has 32% audience shares, and an audience share is the percentage of people with their TVs on in the household. 32% of them were watching the BBC channels. And then the next one down would be ITV, and they had 23% watching their channels, and then it goes to Channel 4, which is 10%, and then 5, which is 6%. In BBC America, there are the news networks are their competition, so Fox, CNN, and NBC, because there is the BBC World News in America. And then for their programs, it is they don't really have any competition because they only play British content, and that's the only channel in America that plays British content. Their only competition would be Netflix and online streaming for Americans to watch it online.
Hi, I'm Kaylee, and the future plans of the BBC include some trials that they're going to be working on and seeing if they can make them more permanent. The first one is the first ever Ultra HD broadcast, which includes a faster frame rate so it will be clear image to the audience. And also they're doing the first live coverage over 4G mobile phones, and this improves the quality of the live streaming, less buffering and freezing, just increases viewer satisfaction. And the next one is the extension of the BBC iPlayer that was talked about before, and one of the things that they're working on is having it on the screen. You can, if you're watching sports, you can highlight the ball so you can see it better, or you can have the players' names over top their head. And if you're watching like a cooking channel, you'll have the recipe on the screen. And also they said with if you're watching a nature or documentary, they'll have information about the animal that it's on. And also they are developing a new API team, which is Application Programming Interface, and this team will just be working on everything that's online that has to do with the BBC, like their websites and apps, so just evolving their website and changing and making it better. So here are our discussion questions. How does the BBC network differ from most U.S. national networks? Does BBC being government-owned make it more susceptible to biases? And will the advancement of mobile technology allow for a more in-depth view into the news stories?